Hey, church. I want to speak into parenting and cast some vision for something new that we're going to do here really soon, really the rest of 2022 into the beginning of 2023. And so before we get to some of the practicalities of that Kent's going to go over, I want to say a few things to us. I think the overarching way to present this and to kind of cast vision for our approach to parenting moving forward as a church is with the word blessing. The Bible repeatedly says that children are a blessing, and we should believe that.
Yeah.
We really must believe that. It's true. Any child that the Lord has given to us is a blessing, and all of the children the Lord has given to our church are a blessing.
Yeah.
And we believe that. We want to rejoice in that. We want the culture of the church to just scream that out to everybody who shows up.
Yeah.
This church really believes that our children are a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then with us as parents, how can we train our children to be a blessing?
Yeah.
That needs to be the focus.
Yeah.
And that takes a type of rigor, that takes a type of diligence and training ourselves and equipping to be able to help our children be a blessing.
Yeah.
So we got to get our hearts right, and then we got to get a vision for how to do this. And so I'm just very excited about just moving forward with this, and just all the children the Lord's given us, and just together seeking to honor the Lord in our parenting. So if you go back 3 years or so, let's rewind COVID time when we were relocated in a lot of places. We were meeting at night. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of young kids, and then this is during bedtimes and our nap times and different all sorts of challenges, meeting in different locations. It began to be very noisy in our services, and we had to talk about children in the service more than we would probably prefer, more than any of y'all wanted to hear. Yeah. But it was necessary. And it was good, and that is the central thing. If we can't raise our children in the context of the local church, with the Lord's Day gathering being a central commitment in our families, there's really nothing else to say. Yeah. That is central and vital. And so that focus, though, now with being in the mornings and us and being in a new building, like we just are freed up in many ways to be able to talk about a lot more other things going forward. And so that's where this new kind of, I don't know what we want to call it, we're going to talk about some parenting practicums, but there's other things that we want to do. But let me just say to the men first here, brothers, you have got to get a vision for your family. Yeah. You've got to know where you're going. Mm-hmm. What are we doing? It needs to be clear to your wife. It needs to be clear to your children, the direction of the family. And how will you know what direction to take them unless you've studied and thought through these things? Mm-hmm. And I don't just mean the direction of we're going to glorify God or we want to raise godly kids. Yeah. That's true. We should know that. But we need to know the means to that end. Yeah. We need to know more than just the end goal, but also how do we get there? Mm-hmm. And that's what our focus is going to be and needs to be. Mm-hmm. And we want to do some strategic teaching on that. There's 2 books in particular we want to ask you to buy. The church is not going to buy these for you. They're not that expensive. This is the first one, Child Training, or Hints on Child Training. It's an excellent book. Me and Priscilla accidentally found it a few years ago and listened to it and then read it. This is going to surprise you with the amount of wisdom that's in this little book. It's a very unknown little book, but I think the Lord's going to greatly use it in our church. This book, Teach Them Diligently, more of you have probably heard of this one. Mm-hmm. This one will really help us understand how to use the scriptures in the training and teaching of our children. And so both of these books we're going to spend time studying. And Kent's going to, and I would ask you to go ahead and buy these now and start reading them, but Kent will talk about the way in which we're going to go about this.
Yeah, so a couple of things. First, many of you know, about a week ago, I posted a Google form where you can give questions, or you can ask questions or write down questions that you have or topics that you have about parenting that maybe are a challenge to you or you want more maybe biblical wisdom on. And we would just encourage you to keep giving those questions. Again, those are anonymous. We don't know who's submitting those. You can submit that form as many times as you want. And we've gotten some really good questions. And so what Pastor John Mark is going to do is we're going to take, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 of the top questions and top topics that people are asking and that we feel are most pertinent to our body. And he's just going to make videos and expound on those things and really get into the biblical meat of those types of issues. So that's first. The first thing we're going to do is just roll out a lot of really specific parenting videos where he really tries to get into those specifics and not just deal in generalities, but get very, very specific and practical. And then secondly, at the end of the summer and into the fall, we want to have some parenting practicums. And so what we envision those to be are a series of Saturdays, 3 or 4 Saturdays, where hopefully all parents and even all married couples, and anyone really, any members of the church can come, but specifically all parents, wives and husbands can come, and we're going to provide childcare because we feel so strongly that the Lord is going to use these, and we want there to be no reason not to come. And so we're going to have childcare. So young adults, singles, we're recruiting you right now.
Need you.
To volunteer to serve the parents in this way, to watch the kids 3 or 4 or 5 hours even. That's going to require some real skills and patience and silliness. But we really would put that before you to serve. But we want to have a time where we bring in even some men who have just shown biblical wisdom over many, many years to speak on these things. Men who have faithfully raised children in the ways of the Lord, men who have taught on these things, men who have shown competency in the area of parenting, and bring them in and have them teach on specific topics. I know you'll teach on some specific topics. And then we want to have breakout sessions where we can break off into smaller groups and go through specific questions and really hash things out. And then also have some time of Q&A. I know I've been particularly helped just by listening to people ask questions to wise counselors, and then them just talking, and have a time where you can actually submit questions to whoever the speakers are. And so those are going to be rolled out again end of August, September, October, where we talk about these books and other specific areas. And just really quick before I turn it back over to John Mark, why are we doing these? It's not the primary end is not just obedient children, right? That is a huge part of what it means for children to be a blessing, and that's a huge part of what our discussion will be, is rearing children to be a blessing, to be obedient, joyfully obedient. But we want to do these to serve you, church, to care for you. We know, especially I think in our pastoral visits we've been doing, parenting eats up probably 80% of the time in most of these conversations, because that's where so many of us are. Many of us are in the young child, the small child stage. Many of you have middle school and even beginning now to high school age children, and many of you have grown young adult children who have moved out. And there's different challenges and things for all of those seasons. And so we want to do these to serve you, to care for you, to shepherd the flock of God among us. And this is just such a huge need in our body because we have so many children, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. Doesn't look like. So we feel like this is a need, and this is a great way to meet that need.
Yeah. One thing, when you just said that, brother, I'll put a little plug here. Mary Ann is going to be teaching on parenting adult children soon to a lot of the ladies. Nice. And so that'll be good. You'll hear about that. So please join her for that. Guys, it is a blessing to be able to raise our kids not alone, but in the context of the local church. We want to help each other, give grace to each other, wisdom to each other, and do this together. And so we're excited. Blessings, guys. We'll talk more about this soon.